All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, January 13th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Sound should be good to go across the board. I just did a quick one for all of us live inside the trading room, and then for all of us on social media, welcome on back, that being Facebook Live and YouTube. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. We ended up seeing some action come across the market right at 2 o'clock. I think the headline was just that the Fed released the beige book, so to say. So a lot of information coming out of that. We'll talk about that more inside the live trading room once we finish up. A lot of different reports regarding consumer, regarding retail, regarding just what's ahead. So we'll do a quick copy and paste just after we finish up this meeting. But nonetheless, that's why you ended up seeing a little pop and drop and move back up here across the Dow. The Dow ended up popping right around 12 p.m. Eastern time. Nice move to break a higher high and at the highs right now. So yeah, leading into the close, hopefully we'll see a strong market. I don't mind just to begin by starting off with Tilray. So TLRY pot stock, we've had our eye on the pot sector for quite some time, but really the last couple of days we've seen more movement on the way up. And today, MJ, the pot sector ETF, we ended up seeing it make a nice push higher right around like 11:30 Eastern time, 12 o'clock. So thankfully, that being Tilray, this ended up making a nice squeeze with it. Got to assume the entire sector made a relatively similar move up. ACB, Aurora Cannabis, that is, Canopy Growth. I think APHA, AFA, pot stock. I think earnings are out tomorrow morning on that. Just I'm looking at my calendar right on my wall here, but just pot stock. Maybe keep this one in mind for the after hours, or not after hours today, then maybe pre-market tomorrow at least, and then perhaps otherwise off tomorrow. All right, so we'll come back to the pot stocks maybe at the end. Just wanted to start with what was on the board at least. I do want to dive into Riot. I do want to dive into Mara. So we'll start off the kind of the patented Josh Levitan crypto minute. So Mara, we ended up seeing this get crushed in the pre-market this morning. Fausto went over this pretty much with you folks earlier during the morning briefing, but news came out regarding a common stock offering. Actually, the news was out in the after hours, then gap down in pre-market, but nonetheless it was down like 25%, 23, 25%, something of that nature. Riot ended up dropping off a little bit perhaps with it, but not nearly as sharp as Mara dropped, right? So that was news specific to the company, not as much to like Bitcoin. Right now, really quick, like when a company offers more shares, a common stock offering, for all of us inside the trading room, I actually mentioned this very briefly earlier, so I wouldn't expect you to remember from what I said, but from perhaps what you know already. Why would a company look to do a common stock offering generally? They're giving out more shares, right? And they're diluting share price essentially by adding more shares to the market to trade. Abdallah and Greg both say to raise cash. Yeah, they need to raise capital. Exactly. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing for the company. It's not as if like, oh no, the company's going bankrupt. It's not as if, oh no, they're gonna get a downgrade on us. No. And I say that really just from one example. It's one example that's very recent. It's a company that I've been following just as a brand of late. Penn National Gaming. So, fan of Barstool Sports, they've been bought out by Penn National Gaming earlier, or at the end of last year, rather. I think maybe even middle of last year at this point. Nonetheless, though, they ended up diving off with the market when the pandemic started, and then from there bounced all the way up. Now, when they were around the 60s, maybe like a month back, 2 months back, perhaps, you can find out the exact date, but they came out with a common stock offering. So, they ended up diluting the price. They offered more shares to raise capital. Well, I say that because look where it is now. It's $105 stock, right? So, when you see a common stock offering, is that always a bad thing? No. But, short term, it's going to drop the price down, pretty much to where they list the shares being offered at. And that's oftentimes what will happen. Unless if they just say at the market offering, then, myself at least, I'm unsure as far as where it will drop down to or whatever. At least today, Mara dived off down to a low of 2165 within the regular session. Ended up, moving lower, at least in the after hours pre-market this morning. So squeezing up right now with Bitcoin. And that leads me, of course, to Bitcoin here. So really quickly, let me just get my browser up if I can. I could do it today at least here. There we go. Excellent. So we ended up seeing, I think there's some report coming out at least, or that came out earlier today at like 1:30 Eastern time. I'll copy and paste actually quick. A couple little tidbits with Bitcoin out there, but between that beige report from the Fed, which was good across the whole market, and then this news report that came out at least earlier today, Standpoint research analyst Ronnie Moas highlights his Bitcoin target of 56,000 to 112,000 for the end of 2021. So first and foremost, that's like a really wide range. Like that's like, hey, I think it's going to rain within the next 90 days. You know what I mean? I think that's like a pretty wide range to predict, any type of, equity or coin, whatever it may be, right? So here with Bitcoin, it was at like 35,000 before the news came out. This is a 1 hour chart. So, within the last couple of bars that you see on this graph, that's what happened. Ended up making a nice pop. Did that analyst put that out right now just to get a temporary squeeze up and then perhaps over time it will continue? Maybe. Maybe not. I mean, we can't pull our hair out trying to think which one way or the other. I mean, myself personally, you folks know this, for any of us that watches the afternoon meeting on YouTube, for all of us live inside the trading room, you folks know I am very high on Bitcoin. So, I am a big believer. I think it's, the future. And if it's not like this year, then it's going to be the next many years ahead. So I'm very long term on it. I think it can go much higher. So, that type of report's not surprising to myself. Perhaps for any doubters out there, it ended up making nice little pop just within the last hour. So for the meantime here, Bitcoin, you could see just on the 1 hour chart, just with my EMAs that I have up, notably, it just broke above both the 100 and 200 EMAs, those in orange and red. So I wrote to all of us inside the chat board, probably going to see a small pullback, I'm sure. Like, probably not going to shoot up like a rocket right away. If it does, then fantastic. I mean, that'll make our lives a lot easier, at least to see this recover and move back up. But yeah, otherwise, it's going to probably shake around a little bit. And that being with the market, if the market ends up taking a huge hit, perhaps with transition in power, whatever it may be, we're not a politics room, but either way, that will affect the market. If the markets dive off, Bitcoin may go with it. So we'll see what's ahead. It's a nice pop, at least for the meantime, here off of that report. I'm hopeful we'll see it run up much, much higher soon enough. All right. There we go. Perfect. All right. So that leads me back to Mara. We'll put this on our watch list for the afternoon with Bitcoin moving up. I like the recent run up, the pop up. It's pretty sharp. So, I told you folks inside the live trading room, I'll say for all of us on social media, I'm currently long on Riot right now from 23. Now I end up averaging up on the trade. I waited for a breakout over 2380. So I'm averaged in at like 2372. I have my stop set. So if it ends up shaking down during this meeting, I'll take a small hit. Like, if not like break even, maybe like a 2-cent loss collectively. But it looks pretty strong. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. Riot and Mara easily. I'll just put this on our main watch list so far to begin. Alrighty then. So what else will we try and catch heading into the close? Let's find out. Let's go from top to bottom, see what else we can get. I know the FRSX, the GameStop, Bed Bath Beyond, you'll find them across the gainers list here. So, we'll likely put those on our list as we go through. Live to begin up 75%. It was up a lot more, at least after the market opened up. Dived off from there and then just flattened out. Yeah, that's it. So number 2, GameStop, right? I have my eye on Riot here. It's moving up nicely. So GameStop, I'm going to copy and paste the news for all of us on inside the social feed here, at least. I think for all of us inside the trading room, you folks, we ended up kind of covering this earlier on this morning. So actually a whole bunch of news out there. Traders circulate suggestion that the stock is a sympathy play. I'm sorry. Scroll back down here a bit more. So it looks like GameStop trading higher following the recent addition of new board members, including from Chewy. So I know that we were calling out Chewy earlier today. Baird analyst Wednesday said the new company or a new board configuration could suggest companies accelerating its digital transformation plan. So the last part of that actually appeals to myself, knowing GameStop as a company for years and years. I mean, getting video games and all sorts of things from that, just consoles. Like, I know what they offer, and for them to start to dip further into digital is huge. I don't know exactly how they're going to do that, but at least that type of news provides some optimism for investors and traders. A massive squeeze up, though. I mean, to go from 20 all the way up to, the hell is that, 38? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen GameStop make a move like this before, up 69+%. So that is one hell of a squeeze up. And actually, another report from Benzinga, just very generally, they're calling this a massive short squeeze. So, I mean, certainly I would expect this to fall back down in price over time, but a really nice active run up today and still very active heading into the afternoon. So GME, I'll kind of slip on here too. Riot's over 24 right now. It had a really tough time off 24 earlier. I ended up taking a short position on that trade earlier today, actually. All right, so the XELA ended up popping over $1 once, ended up re-breaking back over $1 here just now. I like that so long as it holds over $1, and especially so long as this breaks higher very shortly. So for the meantime, I don't mind adding this here too. XELA. We might have a really big list heading into the afternoon. I hope for that not to be the case, but wouldn't surprise me. ACOR dumped off after the open. I want to give a shout out to one of our students, Philip B. Generally, he just pointed out to us inside the chat board. I'll try and scroll up afterwards, but he was really saying like, "Hey, watch out! I've seen the stock before trade." In more or less words, he said, it's going to be a pump and dump. Ended up being right. Ended up diving off as soon as the market opened, and now it's getting a little bit of a squeeze up, but we always see that type of play heading into the afternoon, so I'm not as keen to watch it. So a couple of these others here. What's funny? Freaking thing jumped right on top, right over live here on number one. I saw Jerry inside the trading room post a 58-cent profit on FRSX. I'm like, where was this? This was like number 3 on the gainers list. I guess I skipped it at the time or skipped over me. Look at this thing pop now. Geez, up 86% now. So yeah, FRSX was this Foresight Autonomous Holdings. Interesting. I don't know if they're an EV play or not, but ended up making a huge squeeze up today, breaking back over 7 just now, on the way up to 8 seemingly, right? So I would still look for a pullback on this trade for as big of it just popped right now. I would wait to see a higher low begin to build, then a higher high later on up to 8. Yeah, so we were going to get to this anyway. This one easily will put on the top of our list here. This, Riot, GameStop. I got my eye on Bitcoin here. It looks like it's breaking a little bit higher right now, which is good for Riot and Mara. All right, we'll keep it pushing. There we go. Jerry, I appreciate you posting the profit there. You caught my eye, and I jumped right back on top to the FRSX. Realized that one kind of jumped right to the top. So here the Savage trade. We ended up seeing, a nice squeeze up earlier today, and obviously, as you can see, a higher high throughout. Did pull back, and I guess you can call this a higher low in the building or in the making here. So just needs to make that final next move up, right? So Savage trade, this used to be easy to borrow. This used to be shortable for as wacky of a daily chart as you could see across really 13-month calendar here from like November, December of last year, moving up from 2 all the way to 10, then back down, a couple of gaps in between, ran back up higher, and this thing's been all over the place. So yeah, for the meantime here, Savage definitely going to put on our main list for right now. It's still pushing back up, I should say. No shortage of volatility heading into this close, folks. I'll tell you that much. SYBX, not much there. It's fine. I'll tell you, I just kind of skimmed from top to bottom, just really quickly, see if there's any other familiar names. I see like a couple will check in on here. I think these are warrants, if not mistaken. Yeah. All right, we'll check out a couple of the acquisition companies here. GOEV up 12+% still. It dived off a little bit here. Yeah, not really much going on that one. Laser, this one pushing up beautifully. I checked out, I saw the warrants there. I was going to click on that, but Laser, the actual, equity here, the stock, we ended up seeing it make a nice push heading into the late, the early afternoon rather, right around 1 p.m. Eastern time, took off. So this one as well, we'll just kind of slip on. This one, I'd say more of like a level 5 stock based on the spread, the lack of volume on the order book, and the tier sizes, you could say, on level 2. I know Fausto talks about that in the phase 3 course. I talk about that in phase 1 to begin, but he really digs into it further there. All right, so a later call out Root earlier today. Nice trend up. Just again, kind of same thing, just spaced out order book. Pass. MTC is a cheapie. I've seen this one just like maybe over the last few months off a news move up, and popped earlier today. Nice push, and for the meantime, I guess made a higher high and higher low here perhaps. Looks like the volume died off, and with that, when the volume dies off, typically the momentum dies off with it. So unfortunately, we'll scratch this too. Greg posting inside the trading room here really quickly. The news, by the way, on the FRSX. He's saying that Foresight Autonomous Holdings, FRSX, partners with a Japanese vehicle manufacturer for pilot project. There you go. All right, so that confirms pretty much what I was thinking there. All right, here, 1 second. I'm going to take part profit right now on my riot trade. I don't want to soil the whole profit out right now. I'm in from 23.71 average right now. Take half shares right now. Hold on to the other half in the meantime. All right, cool. All right, let's see what else we have, folks. Let's see if there's anything else here. I got the Nndm. That one made a nice move earlier today. Wasn't up as much just once we started the meeting. So had to scroll down here on the scanner, but yeah, kind of weak right now, it seems like. Fantastic pop from earlier today. So Norman called this out quite a bit. Givo, I was calling this one out a little bit heading into the late morning. Nice pop, but same thing. HEXO, another pot stock. Don't want to forget about this one. You know, this is a pot stock that can move with the sector MJ. All right, folks, if there's anything else that looks good that's up, just type it in the chat board here. I'm going to hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything on that side looking just as good. Looks like the market kind of diving off here a little bit. I don't think there's any other news coming out, but maybe just a little profit taking perhaps. We'll check in with Benzinga just once we finish up. All right, so PRVB, man, you got a lot of stuff that's hard to borrow on the loser's end here. ZOM, I mean, most notably, let me just jump to this quick. What makes the percent gainers list one day will certainly make the percent losers list. If it's not the next day, it's the day after that typically. So, you know, this ended up making back-to-back runs. We called this out, you know, obviously these past 2 days. But with that, well, we ended up seeing a big drop-off going into the pre-market, and then after the open, same thing. So, can't say I'm surprised. Eesh, bunch of stuff. Hard to borrow. I mean, I normally just skip over all of those because they're typically exhausted at this point. Not a whole lot happening on them. This OMI trade, though, is easy to borrow. It's just really flat. It's at the lows, obviously, which I like, but yeah, I kind of skip this one for right now. All right. I'll tell you, folks, let me know if there's anything else. I like our list. It's really not big, which I'm pretty happy with. 2, 4, 6, 7 so far we have on our list. Later calling out VTVT saying a pop. We'll take a look at that. That's a familiar name for all of us inside the trading room. Yeah, nice push. And then also it has like a little bit of funky action on the daily chart back from December. Gapped up and then dived off like pump and dump move. That's, you know, not really that surprising. But then it totally gapped down the following like day after or a couple days after and really hasn't made a clean squeeze back up since. So, yeah, I like this one. Good call. Appreciate the heads up on this one. Then Bill saying Sava over 12. So Sava already on our list, but I appreciate the call because this looks even better now, right? Terry saying that as well. New highs, pop 12. Exactly. Great call. So I like this one even more now. Good. All right, folks. I think that just about does it. Let me just zip right to Benzinga Pro, actually. Not for like the news feed and whatnot, but for the signals page and all of that. Gonna see if there's anything else that's like making a big pop, breaking a new high. I see Sava pop up now on Benzinga Pro, like the scanner there. Check out Mavis. That's the only one I'll check out here so far. Otherwise, Donnie just typed in the chat board. There we go. There we go. That just popped up. The second I saw that, Donnie, on Benzinga, you can't see my screen there, but the second I saw it, I'm like, oh, there we go. So Mavis ended up making a nice push from earlier today. I don't know if I went over this trade just yet. It's up like 19%. Maybe I skipped over this as I went through the gainers list, but I appreciate it now. The call out, the breakout higher here. Do a quick little tape read over the last 2 minutes here. Looks like a lot of volume got filled at 670, 667. But I would probably say even here, like the last 2 minutes or so, I would go so right around probably 664. See a couple of these chunk block prints in here that look really big. So, you know, between that, I'd say 664 could be a pretty interesting pullback level. It's obviously breaking out much higher now. 664 was pretty much the first high of the day here before it just broke higher. So, yeah, I mean, just confirms that. So, yeah, MVIS definitely put on our list here too, near the top. Donnie picking up 12 cents on it. Good trade from 651 he entered from. And CCIV from Michael, he says it's up today. It is up. It is up. It is kind of pushing back up here, perhaps off support 580-ish, maybe 575. We'll slip it on here, Mike. I like the liquidity enough for me to put it back on our list. I just am skeptical as far as like when is this gonna pull back, stall out. But this ended up basically doing just that yesterday. I think it ended up, if I'm not mistaken, let me just check the chart. Oh, yeah, I am mistaken. I thought this was like almost like near a doji pattern here. It looked like a little off. So it wasn't that. It's not doji. It ended up popping, dropping. It did recover, and then obviously the push up higher in pre-market. So essentially it did make that like, recovery, squeeze back up higher. I don't know if it's going to continue going, but it's active enough and the liquidity is good enough for me to definitely put on our main list. So I'll do that. All right. So in total, we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now that's not too big, at least still. All right, folks, I'll type this out to you here inside the trading room. I'll post on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube for all of you folks on social media. Make sure that you hit the like, subscribe, notify button right on YouTube there. Get to know when we're going live, when we're not. And then otherwise, feel free to join us Monday to Friday right here in the Cyber Group trading room. And then for all of us inside the trading room, just give me a quick sec. I'm going to refill up the water bottle. Just jump back on the mic prop in the next like 5 or 10 minutes. All right, talk to you soon. Take care.